The film begins with an elderly guy talking about his love of sketching. He was curious as a youngster after reading in a book about boa constrictors devouring their victims entire. After that, he showed adults the outline of a snake devouring an entire cow. When he asked whether the image made them feel afraid, he got a somewhat odd response. He was advised by an adult that he shouldn't be scared by the image since no one would be scared of a hat. The child suddenly understood that the adult had seen his hat design, which depicted a snake devouring a cow. He thus created a more intricate illustration in which a cow was visibly within a snake's body. He requested again and got quite impolite responses. He was advised by a number of people to stop sketching and concentrate on more significant topics like physics and history. The youngster left his youthful enthusiasm behind and required their guidance. The elderly guy also says that he lost his childlike qualities as he got older and became more and more grown-up. When he met a magical youngster dubbed the Little Prince one day, this string of forgetfulness unexpectedly came to a stop. As the picture changes, we see a number of parents and their kids standing in the Worth Academy foyer. People go from all across the country to get their children accepted to this very renowned and sought-after institution. Our heroine, little girl, and her mother are among the many individuals who are waiting. The two are preparing for little girl's interview at the last minute. The judges inside will only ask her one question according to Mom, and that is whether or not she is deserving of attending Worth Academy. Little girl is expected to respond with assurance that she is and provide 3 justifications for her deservingness. It is clear that they have already spoken about the whole topic and are prepared for the inquiry. At that moment, 2 parents and their kid emerge from the interview room, both of them crying. Although Mom and little girl are perplexed by this sight, they are not allowed to think about it too much. It is little girl's time to go before the judges, so they are hurriedly summoned into the interview room. Inside the interview room, which resembles a theater, the interviewee is expected to stand on a stage across from the judges. When the judges start reviewing her application, they don't seem too impressed at first. Their scowls quickly give way to kinder grins, however, and ultimately they agree to her application. They even give little girl praise for her pieces, Zero, Still My Hero, and the transformative power of Zero. The last question, which is the most crucial element, follows. As the judges give little girl the question that will determine whether or not she attends Worth Academy, Mom watches anxiously from a distance. The judges ask little girl what she will become as she ages, much to their dismay. The question was not one that the mother and daughter had often rehearsed. However, the critical gazes of those seated in front of little girl caused her to feel quite anxious. Her mother pushed the same response down her neck in the lobby, and she belts it out. She starts off by outlining her qualifications for study at the Worth Academy. She joyfully makes it to the second point when her mother abruptly tells her to halt. Little girl becomes aware of her errors at this point, and he feels lightheaded all of a sudden. After saying thank you, she ultimately collapses on the stage and faints. To the surprise of the other parents there, Mom brings her daughter out in a wheelchair. The tone in the vehicle dips as the mother-daughter pair heads back. Little girl expresses regret for her error in failing to notice the development in question sooner. However, Mom is not so depressed. Instead, she offers a backup plan. Little girl is taken aback since she had said that there would be no backup plan, but she has now altered her mind. It turns out that purchasing a home in the same area as Worth Academy is another route. In this manner, they might use the local quota seats to gain admission to the university. A montage of events then demonstrates how Mom chooses and purchases a home in the area close to the esteemed school. She moves into the new house, which is oddly on the market for a lower price, after signing all the required paperwork. As soon as the mother and daughter reach the front gate of their new house, the explanation becomes evident. As it happens, a fairly strange-looking home is located just next to them. The neighborhood is quite consistent, yet the structure doesn't appear like any other house. When little girl asks her mother whether it's too late to implement Plan C, the mother responds that she has a more positive outlook on the matter. Mom notes that they were able to purchase their new home at a lower cost because of the odd house. The little girl asks her mother the question that has been bothering her for a while after taking a quick peek around their new refuge. She queries if she is worthy of attending Worth Academy. Mom responds that it doesn't matter whether she is deserving at the moment. By the conclusion of the next admissions, Mom intends to prove her daughter's merit. She has also placed an order for a personalized board that depicts little girl's life schedule in great detail. Mom refers to it as the life plan, since it encompasses more than just the period of time until little girl is accepted into Worth Academy. In actuality, it includes well-thought-out schedule for every hour and month for a number of years to come. Mom had to go quickly for work after telling her daughter everything. When she says she wants to remain behind, little girl encourages her to go finish her job and not worry about anything. Little girl is just about to go back inside after her mother departed when she senses an odd stench. She follows the scent, which leads her to her house's side fence, which is next to the strange residence. Little girl eventually identifies this odor as that of gasoline. Abruptly, a boom is heard shortly after smoke suddenly rises from the strange home. A massive rotating blade shatters through the glass leading to the little girl's living room and whistles beyond the fence. She looks on in horror as Mom's carefully arranged life plan is totally destroyed by the blade. The guy behind the boom then enters as little girl approaches the window and attempts to open it. He is an elderly guy, the same elderly man who told the narrative in the opening scene. The elderly guy is obviously dizzy and is dressed in an aviation uniform. Totally ignoring little girl, who is still at the fence, he scans the area to see whether anybody is inside the home. When a policeman shows up at the old man's front door, the scene suddenly shifts to a later period. A number of residents from the same area have also congregated to see the events. It is evident from the neighbors' whispers that the old man has caused this kind of annoyance before. At last, little girl starts to understand why their house was listed for sale at a lower price. Nevertheless, the elderly guy welcomes the officer and opens the door hastily. He also calls the other neighbors friends, but they all run home like they've just seen a ghost. The policeman then inquires as to whether old man attempted to fly his aircraft once again. The latter responds by saying that he did. Additionally, old man acknowledges that he seriously damaged the home next door. Before going back to his own house, he gives little girl a jar of cash as compensation for his mishap. Along with Chinese takeout, Mom comes home that evening in a cheerful mood. When little girl presents Mom with a jar full of money, she is a little taken aback. When Mom questioned her about the source of all the cash, little girl spills the beans about what transpired that day. According to her mother, in order to get the insurance company to pay for all of the losses, they need also file a lawsuit. Little girl tells her mother that she has already done so since she is a conscientious person. Little girl has really submitted all of the necessary paperwork for both the insurance claim and the complaint. After that, the mother and daughter assess the damage done to their home. Since the lights can still be switched on, Mom first believes it is not too awful. However, the power in the whole home cuts out as soon as she turns on the light. The little girl reorganizes her room, stores her presents, and reorganizes her bookshelves that same evening. Additionally, she prepares her Worth Academy uniform and puts it on her room's wall. The little girl then pulls a large mathematics book from the shelf and begins rewriting her subjects rather than sleeping. A little paper airplane suddenly falls on little girl's book after flying in through the window. She is shocked to see a colorful narrative written on the aircraft and a drawing of a kid standing on a little planet in one corner when she opens it up. She starts reading the narrative aloud because she finds it captivating. Once a small prince lived in a certain place, is how it begins. Little Prince was his name, and he was by himself. Little girl looks down toward the street after hearing a voice abruptly. Eventually, she glances up to see the old man using a telescope while seated on his porch. He admits that he wrote the narrative and speculates that the little girl, like him, wants a buddy. Astonished, she shuts the window and discards the paper airplane in the trash can. The rat race starts again the next morning. At precisely the same moment, the mother and daughter get up, put on their smart watches, and go to the bathroom to clean their teeth. The little girl adds that she intends to take lunchtime to count the cash, even though Mom says they can meet then. When Mom goes for work shortly after, she discovers a note and a flower on the windshield of her vehicle. When she picks it up, it is clear that the letter is from the elderly guy since it includes a somewhat oddball apologies for all the harm he caused to their new house. As he approaches the fence that separates their home, old man anxiously listens to Mom read the letter of apologies. He hopes that this marks the start of their enduring relationship. Any prospects of reconciliation are dashed, however, as Mom promptly dumps the letter and the flower in the trash can. Then, as if nothing had occurred, she gets into her vehicle and leaves for work. Little girl is preparing for a challenging day indoors. She consults her intricate life plan, sets her smartwatch's timer, and begins working. She goes about her daily business of working out, eating breakfast, and then sitting down at her table to study. Little girl chooses to look at the coins the elderly man gave her at lunch later that day. As she begins to divide them into smaller bundles, her finger is abruptly pricked. She discovers a sharp tack in the package she had just sorted out. The little girl then scatters the coins on the table out of concern that they could include some similar items. She finds interesting objects there, including crystal balls, pins, a little airplane, and a prince doll. This makes her think of the abandoned tale, so she takes it out of the trash can to continue reading. As the tale progresses, the elderly guy continues to tell of his own childhood loneliness. Later on, he started flying commercial aircraft and even began taking trips across the globe in his own smaller aircraft. He was left stuck in the bleak environment of the Sahara Desert when his jet crashed there one day. Suddenly, a boy with a somewhat odd desire showed up there. The old man was asked by the boy to sketch a sheep. Despite his first surprise, the elderly man complied, creating a variety of sheep that did not meet the boy's needs. He constructed a 3-hole box out of exasperation, which the youngster unexpectedly loved. Little girl is left wondering what occurred next as the narrative ended suddenly. Curious, she goes through the hole the airplane's blade cut in the fence a day ago to the old man's home. Old bicycles and their tires are among the many intriguing items in his garden. Little girl interrupts the elderly guy who is busy fixing his airplane. To little girl's delight, his parachute unintentionally opens due to the unexpected scare. As the parachute softly drops on them, they both chuckle. After that, little girl is excited to find out more about the child in the desert, including his parents and location. However, the elderly guy is occupied with many tasks related to his house. Little girl follows him inside his living room after seeing an incredible sight. The old man's home is crammed with books, trinkets, and paintings that are haphazardly displayed on the walls. This is a fire danger, she observes, but the old man doesn't seem to mind. However, without the mother's knowledge, the little girl and the aviator keep playing and reading together. Asteroid B612, the little prince's home, is covered with baobab sprouts. The pilot informs the girl. He claims that the little prince discovered and raised a rose to maturity after removing the sprouts. Even though she became his buddy, her selfishness led the little prince to take a flock of birds and go somewhere else. When he finally arrived on Earth, he met and tamed a red fox after encountering several adults on other asteroids. The fox eventually said farewell to the little prince and told him to always follow his heart, telling the girl that he would be leaving shortly to go locate the prince. The aviator presents her with a plush fox. On the young girl's birthday, the two decide to go out. However, a police officer pulls them over and discovers that the aviator is not licensed, so the officer takes the child home. Her mother increases her daughter's tasks after realizing that she hasn't been according to the plan. The girl nonetheless keeps reading the little prince's tale, surreptitiously going to the aviator to see how it ends. In order to be reunited with his beloved Rose, the little prince had to die from a poisonous snake bite, the aviator informs her. The girl is so horrified by the horrible turn of events that she wishes she had never met the aviator or heard the narrative, even though he tells her that he is certain the little prince triumphed. The aviator is admitted to the hospital at the end of the summer. The little girl never wanted to see her mother again since she thought she was solely to blame. The girl sets out to find the little prince because she wants to make things right. The girl flew the aviator's now fixed aircraft into space after escaping through the gutter with her now conscious plush fox, likely the real one's reincarnation, and the little prince's narrative pages. As they arrive on an asteroid inhabited by workaholic grown-ups that is owned by the businessman from the little prince's tale, who seizes and retains all the stars to power his asteroid and possessions, they discover that all the stars have inexplicably vanished. They eventually come across the little prince, who has grown up and is now an adult called Mr. Prince, who works as a janitor for the businessman and has no memory of his previous life. After running into a police officer and an elevator operator, the conceited man and the king from the novel. As a result, Mr. Prince brings the kid to an academy where a machine run by a malevolent teacher will recondition her into an adult. Mr. Prince starts to regain his memory after recognizing the drawing of his sheep's box from the aviator's pages, of which he still has the original. Because of his amnesia, he thought it might be important. By placing the teacher in the machine, he spares the girl from suffering the same fate as himself. Together, they make their getaway, freeing every star from the businessman's glass vault so that it may return to its proper position in the sky. Mr. Prince is then led back to Baobab overgrown B612 by the girl and the fox. Although they discover the rose dead, Mr. Prince is given fresh hope when he sees her picture in the morning and the baobabs vanish. Along with another group of birds, the girl and the fox make their way back home. The youngster and her mother go to see the aviator in the hospital early the next morning. The girl shows him all the previously missing pieces filled in, and the previously loose pages tied together as a book. After that, the daughter starts attending Worth Academy and makes amends with her mother, who is transformed. On asteroid B612, the little prince and the aviator can be heard laughing together as they both enjoy a night of stargazing.